The Hokies are back as today our Virginia Tech squad gets set for an ACC doubleheader, starting off in the A against Georgia Tech, one of the most pleasantly surprising teams in the country this year, and then we return home to face off against the Pitt Panthers. This, of course, is the first episode of the Virginia Tech Dynasty that's been uploaded since we started the Madden 26 series with the Cleveland Browns. For those of you who are newer to the channel, these two series will be linked together, and all the top players across the country will be put into the draft classes for the Browns franchise. So we're going to get to see a lot of these guys, particularly a lot of these top quarterbacks in the NFL in the coming seasons. I appreciate everyone's patience over the last week with this series and the White Sox franchise not really being uploaded. With Madden 26 out, that's been my main focus, but we're back with Virginia Tech today. We'll be back with the White Sox tomorrow. So that is the plan over the next couple of days. Currently, our Hokies sit 3-3. We were looking really strong in the non-conference slate. Our only loss on the road in a competitive game against a really good Alabama team. We have not looked good, though, in ACC play, starting off 0-2, and we're hoping to right the ship today against Georgia Tech and Pitt. Last episode, we lost to Duke, and it was an ugly defensive slugfest. This is Duke's style of game. They don't have a good offense. Their starting quarterback didn't play because he was injured. But we let them beat us at their game. Clyde Poole threw his first 2 interceptions of the year, both of which came late in the fourth quarter. The biggest reason why we ended up losing what was really a very winnable game that we had control of for most of the afternoon. And now we've really got to right the ship at 3-3. Clyde Poole's been up and down this year. He's done a good job of not turning the ball over up until the fourth quarter of the Duke game. But he hasn't been as explosive as he was at Kansas. I think we're trying to change his play style too much, and we need to let Clyde be Clyde. He's not a normal quarterback. He never will be. We need to let him play chaotically because that's how he was successful in his first 3 seasons at the University of Kansas. I still want more production from the skill position guys in the offense overall. The defense, I think, has been good this year. We just need more turnovers. We have recovered a few fumbles, but we only have 2 interceptions through the first 6 games of the year on that side of the ball. This Georgia Tech team was not supposed to be this good. They are 5-1, 3-0 in the ACC, certainly major contenders in the conference to make the conference championship. They're definitely not as good as some of these other teams, though. Their point differential this year is 3 per game. That's less than us. We're outscoring teams by more points than they are. They lost their opener to Middle Tennessee State, but they've won 5 in a row, including on the road at Texas Tech. The Red Raiders are 6-1. I think they're one of the 10 best teams in the country. So that was a massive statement win for Georgia Tech. Since then, a lot of close games. Close win against Boston College, close win against Louisville, close win against Florida State. I think all 3 of those teams are tough, and I give Georgia Tech credit for those. But are these guys really 5-1? I don't know. And look at their schedule the second half of the year. Next week at SMU, following week at Clemson. Then they play against number 1 Georgia. So this game could end up being a trap game for them. They could be looking too far ahead at the SMU and Clemson slate and look past us. Rodney Oregon leads the way at quarterback. He's undersized, but he's a gamer. Really, really fun player. I'm excited to face off against him. Coco Conrad, the sophomore, has been a breakout star this year for the Yellow Jackets. They don't have a lot of high-end talent. I don't see many upperclassmen who I think are going to be high NFL draft picks, but these guys know how to win. I mean, they beat a loaded Texas Tech team, who I think is a major playoff contender, and they've beaten 3 solid teams in the ACC so far this year. I think the key on offense is to let Clyde be Clyde. We're trying to turn him too much into more of a traditional quarterback when he's at his best, running around, trying to make plays with his legs or crazy throws through the air. And then defensively, I think the defense has been good this year. The front unit has been one of the biggest strengths of the team. The secondary hasn't been bad. They've just got to get more turnover production. So hopefully we can get a couple of interceptions in this game. 3rd down and 3. Poole overthrows Jontre Hickson. A quick 3 and out for the Hokies. The rain already making an early impact. I'm curious to see how the weather really impacts this game today. 3rd down for Georgia Tech. Here is Rodney Oregon. Clean pocket. Pass is broken up. Elihu Gold, the junior, is the one who makes the play there for Virginia Tech. And the Hokies will get it back on offense for drive number 2. We're hoping this one ends up a little bit better than the first drive, as it's the true freshman, Esteban Cabrera, breaks a tackle. There goes Cabrera with a gain of around 15. He's had a really tough season. He has not made the impact that we had hoped, but I feel like he's gotten better as the year has gone along. Poole on first down goes short for the senior tight end, Brandon Marbury, and Virginia Tech is starting to get something going here on drive number 2 as we have it past the 50. Read option, Poole thrown to the ground for a loss, and that'll lead to a pivotal third down for the Hokies. 3rd and 12 to be exact. Poole tries to call an audible, but Nazir Ishmael doesn't know what route to run. Poole rolls out to the right side. He will throw it for Jontre Hickson. Whoop! Hurdles a man! 10-5! Touchdown! What a play by Jontre! But there's one problem. Clyde Poole threw the ball past the line of scrimmage. The touchdown will not count, and it's a 4th and 17, and we're going to have to punt it. A bad mistake there by Poole. His footwork cost Virginia Tech 7 points. Georgia Tech back with it as the Hokies get the stop on 3rd down. Darius Penny, the junior safety, with the tackle. Not a lot of offense early. Cabrera looks to change that. Another good run for the freshman as he gets 18 that time. And the Hokies are right back around the 35-yard line where the last drive ended. Poole on the run, has Hickson open on the crossing route. Hickson with open room. This time it will count with no flags. Ball don't lie, I guess. Jontre Hickson in for the touchdown. And Virginia Tech strikes first as they lead 7-0. Good job there by Clyde to make sure he was behind the line of scrimmage when he threw the ball. Georgia Tech back with it. Play action. Carmen Drake in the backfield with the sack. 6.5 on the year for the junior. I talked about it at the beginning of the year. I think there's a chance he leaves early for the NFL draft. Now it's not really a chance. Now it's likely because he is an NFL player. The screen gets Georgia Tech back to the original line of scrimmage, but nothing more. Looks like Drake was a little banged up. He's not a guy we can afford to be without. As this one is caught by Trevor Adams, breaks a tackle, jukes away from the defender. Trevor Adams is such a dog. I mean, he's so gritty after the catch. He's everything you think of with the white, stereotypical slot receiver. As Poole steps up in the pocket, scrambles, runs for the first down, inside the 30, inside the 25, juke move inside the 20. What a run by Clyde Poole, who gets Virginia Tech into the red zone. A gain of 21 there for Clyde, and the Hokies continuing to impress early. Up the middle, Nazir Ishmael, not quite in the end zone, but he's close to the 1. That'll wrap up a very impressive first quarter for Virginia Tech. So far, it does look like a trap game for Georgia Tech. These guys look like they're looking a little too far ahead at SMU next week, Clemson the following week, Georgia later in the year. They didn't take this game seriously, it looks like, as Poole walks it into the end zone for a rushing score, and it's 14-0. We wanted to let Clyde be Clyde, and so far he's played a great game other than, the touchdown that he threw past the line of scrimmage. The Clyde Poole looks really comfortable despite the weather. He's scrambling around, making plays with his legs, and he's had some good throws through the air. Georgia Tech looking to respond. Oregon floats it up, downfield, wide open! The Yellow Jackets respond. It's Andre Togiai with the touchdown. He had about 10 yards of separation there on the corner, Jair Hill. That was awful coverage. What a throw by Rodney Oregon, the junior quarterback. He reminds me a lot of a worse version of Dylan Gabriel. Undersized, doesn't have elite physical tools. I think Oregon's arm is a little bit stronger. He's a 3-year starter here at Georgia Tech who's gotten marginally better in all 3 seasons he's played. That was an awesome throw, but it was equally horrible coverage by Hill, who got benched last week against Duke, and after that play, we're benching him again for the true freshman corner, Smoke Lewis, who has played a lot better in his limited reps than Jair Hill has in recent weeks. 14-7, Georgia Tech's back in it. Poole scrambles around. He will run for the first down, past the 40, past the 50. Clyde Poole averages like 60 yards a game on the ground so far this year. He's already at 58, and we're like 2 minutes into the second quarter. Poole scrambles under pressure, floats it up. Excellent pass. A lot of touch and anticipation on that ball for Brandon Marbury. 2nd and 7, Poole trying to escape. He cannot this time. It's Adrian Golston with the sack. And that'll make it a 3rd down and 18 from the 33-yard line. Poole rolls to the left. Look at all that rushing room. And you are not beating him in a foot race. Clyde Poole is gone. 33-yard score. And Virginia Tech adds to the lead. Clyde Poole's 2nd rushing touchdown of the game. They have not been able to stop him on the ground whatsoever. That's his 3rd run today of 20-plus yards. We're not even halfway through the 2nd quarter. On that play, Poole saw all the room on the left side of the field. We had all of our receivers running pass patterns to the right. That's where Georgia Tech focused their coverage, which means there's not going to be a lot of defenders in the area. It's like basketball when you're trying to space guys out beyond the 3-point line. We were giving Poole space. Oregon responds, though, with a big run for Georgia Tech inside the 25. And the Yellow Jackets seem to be quickly moving it down the field. Here's Coco Conrad going backwards. It's Carmen Drake who leads the way, another TFL. Drake continues to be probably just the flat-out best player on the team. Enjoy him while he's here, guys, because I don't think he's sticking around after this year. I think 32 NFL teams might be calling his name, especially the Cleveland Browns, as that one is broken up on 3rd and 8. Virginia Tech with the stop here in the red zone, so it'll remain a 2-score game, and the Yellow Jackets are going to have to kick. Eric Shelby, the field goal kicker, is on. This one from around 27 from the right hash. It is good, and that'll make it 21-10. Hokies get it back. The offenses look terrific. We've already scored more points today than we did in both of our first 2 ACC games of the year against Louisville and Duke. Poole up the middle. He's got Trevor Adams to around the 50. Poole can win in the pocket, even though that's not, his style. He can do it, as seen there. We had Adams on the audible up the middle, and the Hokies are moving it down the field with ease once again. Poole wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage, and he is hurt on the play. That is not good news. It looked like he suffered some kind of foot contusion. I think he'll be back into the game at some point, hopefully this next drive, but Georgia Tech does get the stop. Here is Oregon, floats it up. That ball went like 80 yards off his back foot, and it was still overthrown and incomplete. Poole is back in the game at quarterback, so he's not going to miss any time as Marbury hauls in that throw for a 1st down. Poole's grabbing at his foot there. He's clearly in pain. He's going to be limited as a runner, so we're going to try to get the other backs really going. But Asheville Virgo, the redshirt freshman, loses yardage. That'll make it a 3rd and 12. 1:15 left in the half. Poole looks to throw it. He's going to look up the middle, broken up for Trevor Adams. Poole took a hit there at the end of the play, and Georgia Tech gets it back with just over a minute left in the half, although they do have all 3 timeouts as Oregon goes up the middle. It's the tight end, Max Still, gets it near the 40, hit hard by Elihu Gold. They decided to use their first timeout. They used their second one a couple plays later. 3rd and 5, it's a screen. Conrad with a 1st down. He's out of bounds past the 50 at around the 46. 3rd and 7 now with 30 seconds left in the half. Oregon on the run. What a throw! Inside the 20-yard line, a dime for Ernest Zuber, the sophomore. Under 20 seconds now, 3rd and 10. Oregon, clean pocket. Now under pressure, evades the first sack. Okay, I guess you guys are going to have to wait and see what happens. While we wait, how's everyone's day going? Nice weather outside. I think it rained today. The weather was not nice. Who am I kidding? As Oregon's pass is broken up, incomplete. So Georgia Tech's offense is going to have to settle for a field goal, although it is a 1-score game now, as the kick is good, nearly blocked. Jasur Bilal, number 3, had a good jump on it. And that'll wrap up the first half, 21-13. Overall, I like what we've gotten so far, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. Clyde Poole has looked fantastic. One of his best starts of the year, 12 of 19, 140 yards and a passing touchdown, 7 carries, 76 yards, and 2 more scores on the ground. Marbury and Hickson leading the way through the air. Nazir Ishmael has been kind of quiet, though, 2 catches for 13 yards. As for Georgia Tech, Rodney Oregon has had some crazy throws. He's kind of similar to the Missouri quarterback, Caden Almanza, in the sense that he's not the most efficient, he's not the most accurate, but he's got a big pair of nuts, and we've seen that with Oregon throughout this game. Poole obviously had the foot injury at the end of the first half that we're going to have to monitor. He clearly was not moving around like normal, so hopefully it's not a recurring issue in the second half, because our quarterback depth is not good. Oregon on the read option, runs for the first down. Georgia Tech down by 8 is only a touchdown and a 2-point conversion away from tying the game, and they're moving the ball down the field nicely. 2nd and 7, Oregon has all day to throw. Now under pressure, and he's sacked. Carmen Drake, 7.5 sacks on the year. I think he is second in the ACC in that category, only trailing Cabal Monroe from Duke, who's probably going to be a top 5 pick. 3rd and 15, Oregon for the end zone. It's caught. No, it's broken up. Number 21, Elihu Gold, made a really bad play on the ball. Luckily, number 1, Darius Penny, jars it away from the receiver, as that'll bring out the field goal team. Eric Shelby, 3 for 3, and the lead is within 5. Virginia Tech will return on offense, but with a new quarterback. Clyde Poole took a big hit, re-aggravating the foot injury on the last drive. Nolan Roll is in, the redshirt sophomore from Baltimore, as his pass for Virgo is incomplete. Georgia Tech with the stop, they will get it back. Halfway through the third, on 3rd and 2, it's a pitch for Zuber. Gets a block. Ernest Zuber on the jet sweep. 44 yards to the house. Georgia Tech takes the lead. It was 21-7 at one point, but our offense stalled. Clyde Poole got hurt, and we have completely fallen apart. Zuberman puts Georgia Tech up 23-21. They decided just to go for the extra point rather than go for 2. Virgo on 3rd and inches. He will not go down easy. Gets it to around midfield. We're going to have to run the ball a lot, given that I don't really trust these quarterbacks. Roll is more of a pocket passer type, very different than Clyde Poole. As Mark Armstrong on 3rd and 10 only gets a yard. Running it on 3rd and 10 tells you where Virginia Tech's confidence level is with these quarterbacks behind Clyde Poole. As the Yellow Jackets get it back. Oregon on the read option with plenty of room. Down the field, he's tracked out at the 20 by Penny and Justice Watkins. Mike Nix hurrying to the locker room as he's injured. Didn't look injured while he was running. 3rd and 5, Oregon up the middle, nice throw. That'll bring Georgia Tech to around the 1. That was Togiai who hauled it in. Mike Nix back in the game, shrugs his way into the end zone. Even with Noah Singleton on him for a touchdown, it's a 2-score lead and a 23-0 run for Georgia Tech. They lead 30-21. Nolan Roll has looked rough. It's not like he's never played before. He started 3 games last year when Kieran Riddle got hurt, but right now he just looks lost. Intercepted by Benji Byram, and things are going to go from bad to worse for Virginia Tech. Clyde Poole gets injured, and the entire team forgets how to play football. Our quarterback looks like he's never thrown a pass in his life. The defense has been drastically worse since the injury. It's like he got hurt, and then all the good vibes we had on the sideline were shot with a snap of the finger. Georgia Tech leads by 9 going into the 4th quarter with great field position. Oregon on 3rd and 7 goes short, and it is dropped. Georgia Tech has had a case of the drops today. They've had like 6 or 7. It's a 49-yarder for Eric Shelby. He's 3 for 3 today. This is his longest kick of the afternoon, and it is good. A 12-point lead for Georgia Tech. So Nolan Roll has been pretty bad for us. 1 for 5, 5 yards and an interception. We're going to go to the 3rd-string quarterback, Gabriel Iguanagu, just trying to throw stuff at the wall and hope it sticks. As that one is dropped wide open in the hands of Nazir Ishmael. That was not on the quarterback. That was a horrible drop by our supposedly 5-star receiver who has not looked like it at all today. Georgia Tech has it back, looking to potentially ice the game. It's Ernest Zuber with a first down past the 30. He had the big touchdown earlier in the 3rd. Georgia Tech has scored 26 unanswered points. It has been domination over the last 20 minutes. As it's going to be a delayed handoff, play action, and it's a sack in the backfield. The play is made by Xavier Haynes, the redshirt senior, longest tenured player on the roster. Virginia Tech has it back. Iguanagu goes short for Ashwell Virgo. Iguanagu is a redshirt junior from Indianapolis, Indiana. He also started 3 games last year in place of Kieran Riddle. And before that, he was a JUCO starter for 2 years. So he has more experience than Roll. I don't think he's as natural of a passer as Roll, but he is a better runner and probably a better fit for our offense. But right now, it's the Cabrera show. He is leading us down the field, and Esteban Cabrera finishes the drive with a touchdown. We're not out of the game. As bad as we've played over the last 20 minutes, we're only down by 5. What a drive by the true freshman Cabrera. The best game of his Virginia Tech career. 3.5 minutes to go. Georgia Tech's offense now with a little pressure, as that one is caught up the middle by Jamal Calitro for the first down. Looking deep, it's Andre Togiai past the 30, 20, 15, tackled at the 10 by Smoke Lewis. It's a gain of 56. Nix breaks a tackle, walks into the end zone. So much for that one-score lead. Georgia Tech marches right down the field. They were not trying to chew any clock. They just wanted to make it a 2-score game. Under 2 minutes to go for the Hokies. Iguanagu looks to throw it up the middle. He's picked off. It's Darrell Ivey, the linebacker, who ices the game for Georgia Tech. We played so well through the opening 15 minutes of the game and then completely fell on our face afterwards. We were up 21-7 on the road against a 5-1 Georgia Tech team who beat Texas Tech earlier in the year. Then Clyde Poole gets injured, and then all hell breaks loose. Nolan Roll and Gabriel Iguanagu both throw interceptions. The defense forgot how to play football, and over the last 25 minutes of the game, we were outscored 33-7. I mean, that was just a pathetic effort. After the first quarter and a half of this game, it looked like we rolled over and quit, which is completely unacceptable. We showed some good things early on. The offense was humming. Clyde Poole was balling. He played great when he was out there. The whole situation with his injury was weird because he got hurt, went back into the game. I guess he re-aggravated it, but there was never like an injury pop-up for him. So I'm not sure why the doctors held him out after he got hurt. It was weird. Backup quarterbacks come in the second half, and neither of them looked like they could really function the offense. I better not hear a bad word about Clyde Poole the rest of the year, considering the production of these two backups today. They were rough. If you're looking for a positive, I thought Esteban Cabrera played a really good game, which was encouraging. Through the air, the big story for me is probably Nazir Ismail. He only had 3 catches for 18 yards, had a really bad drop. Ismail underperformed early in the year. I wasn't really worried about it because he was trying to form a connection with his new quarterback. We're 7 games into the year, and he has not figured it out. So I'm going to call him out. 5-star recruit, top 10 player in his class. He has not lived up to the hype at all for us, and he's got to step up. Defensively, not good. We didn't force any turnovers. We made a lot of plays on the ball. We just didn't catch anything. As for Georgia Tech, Rodney Oregon made some really impressive throws, had some misses, and his receivers had a ton of drops. They did him no favors at all. But I thought overall Oregon played a good game, and then defensively, these guys knew what they had to do against a backup quarterback. Granted, the defense really struggled when Clyde Poole was out there, and I think if Clyde stays healthy, we probably would have won the game. But their defense was terrific. Once it was Roll and Iguanagu, we could not throw the ball with either of those two out there. So a bad loss, much like last week, a game that I feel like we could have won. Luckily, Clyde Poole is going to be healthy for next week. He will play against Pitt. Again, the whole thing was just kind of confusing because he was not on the injury report. Wear and tear was not affecting his rating, and he wanted to come back into the game, but the doctors said no. Let's talk recruiting over the last couple of weeks. We got some good news coming into the week. 4-star guard Javon McLeod commits. That's a big get for us. I see him as a future starter for us down the line. This class is continuing to fill out nicely. We've got 8 4-stars, which is a really good number at this point in the year. In terms of players ready to visit, we're going to have 3 guys come onto campus for the game next week against Pitt, including Tyron Dutton, the only 5-star on the board. We've got the lead for him, and I think with a good visit, we can really separate ourselves from Utah. Ian Cloud is going to come. He's the best corner on our board. And then linebacker R.J. Jordan, a player who I thought earlier in the year we had no chance for. We were falling behind on his battle. Now with a good visit, I think we can be the front runners for him. I wanted to have Kiki Alaka visit, but he's visiting NC State in Week 9. That's the same week as the Pitt game. And then he's visiting Duke and UNC the next 2 weeks. I don't really see any chance we can get back into this battle, which sucks because he has a really fun skill set. And I think we kind of mismanaged his points a couple of weeks ago. But I don't see how we can win, so we're going to have to take him off the board. We've got a few open spots, so we're going to put on a quarterback, Nate Hoag, a JUCO junior. Watching our 2 backups today made me realize we need more quarterback depth and bad. I added a safety, Christian Siegler, and then another wide receiver, Tremaine Trinidad, who physically is pretty similar to Alaka in terms of his slim but tall frame. He's the same archetype as Alaka, so I think that could be a potential fun fit for us. We're going to put a lot of points early into the quarterback Hoag. I mean, for one thing, I just want another backup because the two guys today sucked. But also, there are some other teams who have given him scholarships, so we need to get into this battle now. And I would love to have two quarterbacks join us for this recruiting cycle. Obviously, we already have Cam Kingsbury, who's probably more talented than the two quarterbacks we have on the roster who played today, but Kingsbury is going to be an unproven true freshman. So how do we know he's going to be better than those guys? After simulating the week, we had the lead for Dutton, Jordan, and Cloud, who were all visiting. We've taken the lead on Clayton Peppers, which is good. Frederick Stacy were firmly in the mix. Nate Hoag were firmly in the mix. Christian Siegler is down to 8. Unfortunately, we're not one of them, but I'm okay with that. He was pretty low ranked, so I'll survive. We're going to schedule a visit in Week 10 for Deshaun Rawlings. He'll come for the Miami game, and then so will Clayton Peppers. Alabama seems to want Peppers, so we've got to make sure that visit goes well enough. We've got one new spot on the board. We're going to go back to safety with Jaleel Hawk. He is a freshman from Texas. So this is how we're going to use our points here for Week 10. The closest recruiting battle right now is with four-star edge rusher Niles Colclaw with us in Arizona. We have the lead. I would say there's probably a 75% chance we land him, but it's not a gimme. Arizona could possibly surprise us down the stretch. We've got some fun games across the nation over these next 2 weeks. We'll start with Week 8. USC Notre Dame. Brennan Holloway's biggest test yet. USC plays against undefeated Notre Dame this week and undefeated Michigan next week, so we're going to see it there for real. Stanford SMU, those teams are outscoring their opponents by like 25 a game. And then Arizona USF. The over-under for that game might literally be 100. Those two offenses are nuts. We'll start in the shoe. The number 11th ranked Ohio State facing off against Minnesota. The Buckeyes have looked vulnerable this year, but it seems like they're really starting to figure some things out, and their offense today was unbelievable. Senior quarterback Wambly Mendoza threw for 8 touchdowns. Buckeyes win it 62-10. Yes, they scored 62 points, and they could have scored more in the fourth quarter, but they kind of slowed things down. I still don't really see Mendoza as like a high draft pick. He's just not accurate enough. But he had 8 touchdowns and 629 yards. Ohio State has an unbelievable receiving trio with TK Deitzer, Leo Fritz, and Demir Savage. The three of these guys call themselves LeBron, Wade, and Bosch. TK Deitzer is LeBron. I think he's going to be wide receiver 1 in this year's class. Arizona State versus USF, two of the most fun offenses in the nation. I said the over-under was 100. Unfortunately, they did not hit the over. These two teams only combined for 90 points. I know, how disappointing. The Sun Devils win it in Tampa, 48-42. Arizona State now ranked number 5 in the nation. We've got to give Tempe Chesney more love as a potential first-round pick. He is the best rushing quarterback probably in the draft class, and he can really sling it. As for USF, a lot of big numbers for Josh Scarborough. I think he's going to lead the country in either passing yards or passing touchdowns by the end of the year. Stanford versus SMU. I'm really curious to see how Stanford looks here because these two teams are outscoring their opponents by a lot. But if you watch these teams, SMU has clearly been better throughout the year, and that showed up in this game. It looked like these teams were on entirely different playing fields. The Mustangs take care of business against Stanford, 49-28. SMU is legitimately one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the country at minimum. Tyree Wells is a national champion caliber quarterback, and they've got like 6 or 7 skill guys who I think are going to be in the NFL. They go 5 deep at receiver. They've got an awesome running back. As for Stanford, Isaiah Timpf played great. The rest of the team's just not as good as SMU. Texas and Tennessee, huge game in the SEC. Both of these teams just recently lost their first games of the year and are not trying to get loss number 2. Ultimately, it was the Vols with quarterback Kamari Fisher. Their offense was just a little too much for the Longhorns. Caleb Gassing, the standout sophomore, who I think could be a pretty high pick in this year's NFL draft, is in with the touchdown. 52-28. No shortage of scoring as Fisher throws 5 touchdowns. Marcel Merrick, the running back, I think this guy is really good. He did have a fumble, but I think he is awesome. Tennessee is loaded in terms of skill guys. As for Texas, Bryce Carver was not great. He threw 2 interceptions. Sal Santucci also seemingly slowing down. Arkansas, number 15, faces off against Vanderbilt, who has been very quietly very good. The Commodores are 6-1. Let's see if these guys are for real. If this game has any suggestion, the answer is yes! What a run by Craig James, breaking multiple tackles. Vanderbilt, 7-1. They beat the Hogs 38-32. I'm not sold on this Vanderbilt team just yet. I don't know if they're a playoff team, but I'm certainly paying a lot more attention to them. Certainly got both my eyes on them, put it that way. And now for the big dog, number 6 USC, number 3 Notre Dame. 2 huge rivals and 2 really good teams. The biggest test yet for current projected number 1 pick Brennan Holloway. And one of these quarterbacks threw 6 touchdowns. Was it Brennan Holloway? No, it was not. He was severely outplayed by Jackson Jackson. USC with the upset in South Bend, 42-17. They wiped Notre Dame off the playing field. Brennan Holloway was not good, really whatsoever, while Jackson Jackson, who's been a little inconsistent this year, was awesome. His best game as a Trojan. Everybody getting the ball for USC offensively. Let's take a look at some other scores across the nation. Clemson with a squeaker over Cal. East Carolina barely beats Army, only by 1. 52 points for Alabama. Kieran Riddle is in a rhythm with that offense. Ole Miss takes care of business against Missouri. Miami over NC State. Oregon is completely pathetic. I don't even want to talk about them. 38-0 for number 1 Georgia over South Carolina. TCU beats Iowa State 56-48. And then in the ACC, a shootout. Virginia over Wake Forest 51-48. Duke loses to Pitt 27-11. We'll get to see Pitt this week. Very on brand for Duke to have one of the lowest scoring games of the week. Washington State lost by 49 to Ball State. That is pathetic. Arkansas State 6-1. They beat UConn. Temple is 6-1. They've got one of the best quarterbacks in the group of 5 with Maxwell Logan. 51-3. South Alabama gets blasted. Florida State gets the better of Syracuse. James Madison is now like 6-2. I told you they were going to be good. Dorian Sahara, who we shut down in that opening game, has been awesome since then. Let's take a look at our top 25 poll. USC takes Notre Dame's spot at number 3, jumping Michigan and Arizona State, which I think USC probably should jump those 2 teams, coming off a blowout win on the road against that Notre Dame team. Players of the week, John Nambanimi of TCU, and then Andre President of Tennessee. In the ACC, it's Sir Micah Robinson, the Miami running back, who we'll get to see in a couple of weeks, and Charles Cormier of NC State. Julian Hero holds the top spot on the Heisman list with Kieran Riddle and Zarius Stone in 2nd and 3rd. Brennan Holloway off the list entirely after his disastrous performance against USC. And now I don't think Holloway has much of a stranglehold on that QB1 spot. I think Kieran Riddle and Zarius Stone are right there with him, maybe even Tempe Chesney as well. So let's take a look at this Pitt team. They're 3-4, the same record as us. They beat Oklahoma, a win that has not aged as well as we would have thought back in week 1. And then look at the amount of points they've allowed in their losses. 48, 41, 49, 52. Our offense really has a chance to get things back on track against this defense. They only let up 11 against Duke, but we know firsthand Duke's offense is completely unserious unless the quarterback is throwing it up to their receivers in triple coverage, and then they all turn into Randy Moss. Let's look at this Pitt team. They're a talented but young roster. Jaquarian Spencer leads the way at quarterback. Their main running back, Keelan Kubila, has been hurt for most of the year, so it's been Zaire Notes. I really like their receiving core of Devontae Francois, Chauncey Conklin, Antoine Gels, and the standout true freshman, CJ Lanier, who unfortunately is hurt. I was looking forward to seeing him today, but he will not be out there. Lamont Johnson and Gervais Dexter on defense. Both look like NFL prospects. I think this team has more high-end talent than Georgia Tech, but the problem with this Pitt team is that they're super young. And I think going into the year, they were ranked because the AP voters, they kind of looked at the talent level of this team a little bit too much, but just didn't really take into account that this team is just not really ready. I mean, they allowed practically 100 points against Notre Dame and Clemson. Our offense has been shaky this year. Hopefully we can get back on track with Clyde Poole healthy and active as he scrambles to the left side past the 40. Takes a big hit, but not before gaining 19. Poole is not going to have any limitations with the foot. He looks 100% healthy, which is huge. Play action. Poole scrambles to the left side again. On the run, he's got Ishmael past the 20. We called out Nazir Ishmael after the loss against Georgia Tech. He's not been pulling his weight. I'm really curious to see how he responds to that today. Poole, RPO, caught for a touchdown by Jontre Hickson. A quick start for Virginia Tech, marching right down the field with the score. We're picking up, or at least Clyde is picking up where he left off. The rest of the offense, not so much. Making it 7-0 within the first 2 minutes of the game. I love seeing the sense of urgency from the offense because both of these teams have a lot to play for, being 3-4. Can't really afford to lose many more games if you want to make a bowl, especially Virginia Tech, who's 0-3 in conference. Here's Devontae Francois, breaks a tackle, gets a block! 70 yards! He will go all the way! And Pitt immediately ties it at 7. The true sophomore, Devontae Francois, has been one of the breakout stars of the ACC. Pitt has obviously had a disappointing season, but it's not been because of this kid, who I think has a future in the NFL. 6'2", 195 pounds. He checks off all the boxes at receiver. He's athletic, runs routes, has good hands. He's made some really good plays throughout the year and has been one of the top guys on this offense. A really pathetic attempted tackle by number 8, Jair Hill, who is going to get benched again for a third straight week. Smoke Lewis, again, will take his spot with the ones. We're 3 minutes into the game, both teams already with touchdowns. Poole on the run. He's got his man. That's Tevison Jackson, the backup tight end, who gets it past the 40. This offense is just in so much of the rhythm, with Clyde Poole playing like himself, and obviously we saw the difference in the second half of last week when the backups were in. Poole on 3rd and 3, rolls out, hoping someone gets open. On the run, floats it up for Ishmael, who hauls it into the 10. Ishmael's drop rate this year has been around 10%. It's good to see him hanging on to that ball as the Hokies have into the red zone. 2nd and 1, Poole looks to throw it. Clean pocket up the middle. Nice grab! Nazir Ishmael for the touchdown. After calling him out last week, it seems like he's looking a lot better so far in this one. He's had a couple of really nice grabs, including that one for a score, making it 14-7. Zaire Notes, broken tackle. The true freshman wrapped up past the 40 by Jensen Diglio. Not before gaining the first down, though. Play action. Spencer's pass is caught. Another big play for Pitt. That's Francois again with the 70-yard touchdown on the last drive. Play action. Spencer connects. This time with his tight end. That's Buda Marshall who gets it inside the 10. Defense, never heard of her. There's been no defense in this game as Spencer keeps it on the option. And Spencer is in for a score. We're knotted up at 14. A shootout in Blacksburg early. 2 drives and 2 touchdowns for both teams. This time it's the redshirt sophomore Jaquarian Spencer in for the touchdown. It's been a very up and down start to the collegiate career for Jaquarian Spencer, who has started at Pitt over the last year and a half. There's been some good and some bad. He's only thrown 7 interceptions in his career. 6 of them, though, have come this year. The turnovers are up. The accuracy is around the same. It's a little better. But the interceptions, that was his big strength last year. This season, not so much. Poole keeps it on the option with a juke move, and he gets the 3rd down conversion. 4 carries, 49 yards. Again, we're letting Clyde be Clyde as a runner. He was dominant last week against Georgia Tech, and he's looking good on the ground today. Poole scrambles. He's got Hickson nearing the 50 as we wrap up what was a fun first quarter. These two offenses playing out of their minds. 14 apiece. Clyde Poole looks great. 9 of 10, 124 yards and 2 scores. But Jaquarian Spencer's been just as good. 6 of 7, 132 yards through the air with a passing and rushing touchdown. These two quarterbacks are dueling right now. That'll bring us into the second, 3rd and 3. Poole scrambles around on the run. Hit as he throws. It's incomplete. Pitt gets their first stop of the game. Or do they? We're allergic to punts. Virginia Tech will go for it. on 4th down. It's the freshman Ashwill Virgo who will get the first down for the Hokies. And the gutsy decision by Coach Cornell Teamers Sr. pays off. Poole on the run is a wide open man. It's Nazir Ishmael inside the 10, the 5, touchdown! Second score of the first half for Nazir Ishmael, who was completely wide open. I wanted to see more from Ishmael, and boy, is he giving it to us today. 4 catches, over 80 yards, and 2 touchdowns already for Ishmael. 21-14, play action. Spencer up the middle. He's got Antoine Gels past the 35. Our defense has been pathetic today. Over the last 4 quarters, they've allowed 54 points. That is not good. Spencer down the field. He's got Francois, who has been extremely impressive against every corner he's been matched up with. First it was Jair Hill, then some Elihu Gold reps. Smoke Lewis has been on him. It hasn't mattered. Francois has been cooking all of them. First down for Pitt, 8 to go in the quarter. Spencer under pressure. There we go. Into the backfield with a sack. It's Xavier Haynes who brings him down. We needed that one pretty badly. And that sets up Pitt well behind the sticks. It's now 3rd and 12. Could we get our first stop at the game? Spencer looks to throw it. Under more pressure, looking deep for the end zone. One-on-one. Incomplete. Smoke Lewis with the deflection, and I don't believe it. We got a punt. Took us a quarter and a half, but better late than never. Virginia Tech back with it. Poole scrambles around. Up the middle. High throw. Hauled in. Brandon Marbury inside the 25. As Kingston Carter, the left tackle, is dinged up. 3rd down and 12. Poole under pressure takes a shot, and it's caught. Everything is clicking for the Hokies. Ishmael is over 100 yards. What a throw by Clyde Poole to place it over the defensive back's head while getting rocked in the pocket. Poole looking to call an audible here on 2nd and goal. Armstrong switches from his left to his right as Mark Armstrong walks it in for a rushing touchdown. 4 drives, 4 trips to the end zone for Virginia Tech. Our offense looked blah through the first 3 games of the ACC play, but boy, have we come alive. Is it against maybe the worst defense in the conference? Yes, it has. But I am not complaining. Our offense has needed a get-right game. Pitt has it back, all of a sudden trailing by 14. Spencer looking up the middle. It's caught. First down and then some. Chauncey Conklin nearing the 30. I mean, are these guys ever going to force a turnover? This is unbelievable. We have 1 interception since the first quarter of week 1. Notes on 3rd down, breaks the initial tackle, but is still going backwards. Noah Singleton leads the way, and the best in the world finishes him off. Virginia Tech calls a timeout. They want to really add to this lead before half. We'll see if we can score for a 5th time in the first half. Clyde Poole has been unstoppable so far as Poole dances around. He's like 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he connects with Marbury. Breaks the tackle, out of bounds, nearing the 35. Let Clyde cook. It's unconventional, it's weird, but the guy just knows how to make plays. Just over a minute left in the half. Poole under pressure. It's caught by Hickson over the defender. Our receivers are making some really nice grabs today. Poole has thrown some risky balls. Play action. Poole scrambles to the left side on the run. It's Ishmael inside the 5. Nazir Ishmael has mostly been covered today by Lamont Johnson. Not on that play, but for most of the game he has. Johnson's an NFL guy. Poole, end zone, touchdown! That's a hat trick! Nazir Ishmael with his 3rd touchdown of the first half. 7 for $123 and 3 scores. He's making Lamont Johnson, a projected top 100 pick, look foolish. Johnson, 6'2", 205 pounds. He's got a rare blend of size and speed. I think his technique, especially in man coverage, will hold him out of the top 50 picks. And he hasn't done himself any favors today. 6 interceptions last year, none this year, but that's because quarterbacks are just not throwing his way. Well, that is until today. Clyde Poole has been picking him apart in the first half. 35-14. Clyde Poole has 4 passing touchdowns, tying a career high. And we are still in the second quarter. As there's a nice throw into the hands of Antoine Gels, his 3rd catch of the game. Pitt looks so good on offense early. Now they're down by 21. As that one is overthrown. And that will wrap up what was certainly an interesting first half. Tied at 14-1. Very close, very competitive game. And the Hokies have just run away with it. 5 drives, 5 touchdowns for Virginia Tech. Clyde Poole played the best half of football I have ever seen from him in over 3.5 years as a starter. 16 of 21, 258 yards and 4 touchdowns to go along with 6 carries for 61 yards. I've never seen him play this well at all. Again, this is not a good defense, but still, this is remarkable. Everybody is eating. Nazir Ismail has looked like the best player on the field at times. He has 123 yards, which is a career high. As for Pitt, Jaquarian Spencer's been awesome. 16 of 20, 236 in a score. He's lighting our defense apart. But it hasn't mattered because they have not been able to finish their last couple of drives and their defense has not been able to keep up. Spencer incomplete for Francois. He threw 4 incompletions in the first half. Spencer has thrown 3 incompletions in the first 11 seconds of the third quarter, going 0 for 3 in the opening series. Hokies back with it, and it seems like they're not missing a beat. John Trey Hickson gets around 15 yards up the middle, past the 50. Third down and long. Poole, it's a screen, batted away. And Virginia Tech, for the first time today, has to punt it. They were perfect in the first half, but Pitt finally gets a stop. The Panthers get it back. They can get back into the game, I feel like, with how well the offense is played, but they've got to get rolling now. There needs to be a sense of urgency. Nice move there by Zaire Notes as he gets the first down past the 40-yard line. Second down and 4. Spencer looks to throw it wide open. It's Gels with a spin move past the 30. Wrapped up by Elihu Gold and Smoke Lewis. Pitt is starting to move the ball again after really getting nothing over the last quarter and a half. Our defense finally waking up. There's a nice throw up the middle. It's Buda Marshall, the tight end, who gets Pitt into the red zone. First and 10, roughly halfway through the third. No score change yet in the second half. Pitt looking to change that here, and they do. A bullet from Spencer into the end zone. Russ Goldman with the touchdown, his first catch of the game. And that'll make it 35-21. If Pitt can string together some stops, you never know. They can make it interesting. We'll see if Virginia Tech can rebound after punting it for the first time. Poole with a juke move on the option. Past the 50. Poole still up, weaving his way through defenders. Nearing the 20 as Robbie Cones, the backup right guard, is injured. The starter, Brandon Lee, got hurt earlier. Gain of 41 yards, though, for Clyde Poole, one of his longest runs of the year. Nearing the red zone, RPO. Ishmael catches it, but he loses a couple. Amari Murray Ride, the third string guard, is hurt. We might run out of guards at this point. This is getting bad. Third down and 12. Armstrong, the running back in the backfield. Armstrong has been banged up throughout the game. That's why we haven't seen a lot of him other than the early touchdown. Poole scrambles to the left on the run. He overthrows his target, Armstrong, who was kind of open. Sorta. I mean, it was a good route, but Poole ultimately misfires. 40-yard field goal try for Ashton Lemon. His kick from the left hash is good. That was close. 38-21. That was not pretty. Lemon has been ultra efficient, though, this year. He has not missed a kick the entire season. We haven't given him many hard kicks, but he's been perfect. He hasn't missed one. Pitt back with it, trailing by 17. Spencer loses yardage on the read option. Darius Penny brings him down. 3rd and 11 now for Pitt. With a receiver in motion, they'll go play action. Spencer takes a shot. It's caught anyway by Gels, who is hit hard by Gold. Great pressure there off the edge by Carmen Drake. Spencer, RPO. He's got Gels again. Antoine Gels loves the spin move. He's like the Pascal Siakam of the Pitt offense. He spams it every time he gets the ball. 3rd and 9. What a hit! That was a big-time shot from the best world, laying into the receiver. Pitt's going to have to settle for a field goal. Will make it a 2-score game, though. 41-yard field goal try here for Sean Carter, looking to make it a 2-score game. Perfectly centered, and it is right down Main Street. So Pitt gets 3 points at the Rome, but they still have a lot of work to do, trailing by 14 with under 11 minutes. left to go as Virginia Tech gets it back. As good as the offense was in the first half, they've certainly slowed down a little bit here in the second half. Pitt clearly has adjusted, and it seems like they've done a pretty good job in doing so. As Armstrong is banged up. He's been banged up, it seems like, the whole year. It's been a disappointing season for Armstrong, but I don't really think it's his fault. He's had a hard time staying on the field because he's got all these nagging injuries. 38-24 through 3. Virginia Tech with the lead. Pitt was able to make up some ground, though. They were down by 21 going into the third. Now they're only down by 14, but still a lot of work to do, as I said earlier, going into this fourth quarter. We'll see if the Hokies can hang on and finally get that first ACC win after starting 0-3. Third down and 9 for the Hokies. Poole looks to throw it. Under pressure, has not been sacked yet today. That one is caught! John Trey Hickson to the 10! What a throw by Clyde and a huge play after the catch. Jervis Dexter is one of their best players, is hurt, which is not good news. 48-yard gain officially for Hickson. Poole on 3rd and goal. Hit as he throws. He'll go short for Cabrera. He was certainly not the initial read. I wanted to potentially center the kick. We tried getting it to Ishmael up the middle, but he was covered. We didn't really center the kick at all, and we also lost yardage, so that play was kind of a disaster. 26-yarder from the right hash here for Ashton Lemon, looking to keep his perfect season going, and it is good. So it is back to a 3-score game now, 41-24, as Pitt gets it back. Kind of a weird score, as the Panthers have just under 8 minutes to go. Spencer misfires for Notes. That'll make it a 4th down. I think going forward's the right call. You're down by 3 scores with less than 8 minutes to go. It's not too early. You've got to score on this drive. There's no other alternative here for Pitt. Notes in motion. Spencer, pump fake. It is incomplete. He was wide open, but the pass was low at his feet. Virginia Tech gets the stop. Now it's time to chew some clock. Hickson cannot haul that one in. Pass is high from Poole. We don't end up chewing much clock, but we are in field goal range. It's a 39-yarder for Lemon. His kick nearly blocked, but it is good. Busy second half for Lemon. He was 6 of 6 coming into the day, but he has kicked field goals in each of his last 3 possessions. He's 9 for 9 on the year. 44-24, finally a sack. Carmen Drake, 8.5 on the year for the junior. Our pass rush has not given as much today, but we get one there, our second sack of the game. Notes on 3rd and 10, tracked down from behind by Corbin Roll and friends, and Pitt decides to punt the ball. It seems like they may have waved the white flag on this one. We're still throwing the ball, or at least showing throw, as Poole scrambles up the middle. Over 100 yards now on the ground. 2:20 left to go, 3rd and 6. Poole on the read option, nearly gets it. It's a gain of 5. That'll bring us to the 2-minute timeout. 11 carries, 137 yards for Poole. And we're going to go for it here on 4th and 1. We want to end the game now, and a first down pretty much does that. Cabrera does not get it. Pitt with the stop. And they're actually kind of moving it down the field pretty well. At the 26-yard line here on first down with under a minute. Notes inside the red zone, wrapped up at the 10 by Darius Penny. Now a 3rd and 4, under 40 seconds. Spencer passes caught for a touchdown. Buda Marshall makes the play for Pitt. Now the problem for the Panthers is that it's a 2-score game and there's 32 seconds as the onside kick is recovered by Trevor Adams, and that should do it. Virginia Tech finally wins their first ACC game of the year. It took a little longer than we had hoped, especially because we lost multiple winnable games against Duke and Georgia Tech. But we get the better of Pitt, 44-31. Clyde Poole, I thought, played the best game of his collegiate career. 4 passing touchdowns in the first half, responsible for nearly 500 yards of offense. We still have a lot to work on. The offense was held out of the end zone entirely in the second half. The defense had maybe their worst game of the year start to finish. We didn't send a lot of pressure. I didn't think the coverage was very good. We're still not forcing takeaways. We had none through the 2 games today. But it's hard to complain when we finally get a win in conference play, especially with how good Clyde Poole was. He was phenomenal. 25 of 35, 342 yards, and 4 passing touchdowns. And then he was great on the ground as well. 11 carries for nearly 140 yards. Poole had an awesome episode today. He played really well against Georgia Tech before getting hurt. And then he was awesome today against Pitt. Again, the best game of his career, including the 3 years at Kansas. Armstrong was solid. The other backs were pretty eh. And then through the air, no drops for anyone. Ishmael, 10 catches, 138 yards, and 3 touchdowns. We called him out. I felt like he wasn't doing enough through the first few games of the year, and boy, did he respond. Hickson good as well. But I think like this says a lot about Ishmael's character. He's definitely getting the game ball today. For him as a 5-star to not feel like, he's above the team and to respond to the criticism well, I think that speaks a lot to who he is as a young man. And that's the type of kid I want to build around on this team. The defense, though, was not good. We didn't make many plays on the ball. The coverage was bad. The pass rush was bad. It was not great on that side of the ball. Jaquarian Spencer was really good. 444 yards and 3 touchdowns. Pitt pretty much abandoned the run in the second half. They threw it pretty much the whole game, and it worked. To their credit, they had nearly 450 yards passing. The problem is their defense could not stop a nosebleed in the first half, although I give them credit. They adjusted in the second half. We did not score a touchdown after halftime, but we had so many in the first half, it didn't matter. So a good win here, a great showing offensively. Virginia Tech now 4-4, 1-3 in ACC play as we beat Pitt on our home soil, now with 4 games to go. As we take a look at some of the matchups in Week 9, there's not a large quantity of exciting games, but the quality of games are going to be good. Number 4 Michigan, number 3 USC. The Trojans got the upset last week against Notre Dame. Can they beat another undefeated Power Conference team? Alabama, Florida, pivotal game in the SEC. Georgia Tech, SMU. I am fascinated to see how the Yellow Jackets perform in that game, as Nazir Ishmael wins the Conference Player of the Week. I thought it should have been Clyde Poole, but I'll take it. That's our first award of the year. Nebraska heads to Maryland to face off against the Terps. Nebraska's playing some good ball this year, and Maryland is no slouch. They were ranked a couple of weeks ago. They lost last week, causing them to fall out. But Nebraska put belt to the Terps on the road, putting up a 50-piece here against Maryland with 2 touchdowns for the standout running back, Tamario Harold, 55-14. Nebraska is just wiping everybody out who they're playing against. Dylan Chester, the true freshman, was not great. Ramir Clark, the true freshman running back, struggled. Antoine Easy, for his 79 overall, is playing really well. And Tamario Harold wasn't even that good. He didn't even average 3.5 yards per carry, and they still won by 40. Texas has lost 2 games in a row. They're looking to bounce back, and this is a nice get-right game for them. I feel like this was scheduled perfectly against Western Michigan. Well, the Broncos had other plans, and Texas' season eviscerated in this game, getting upset by Western Michigan, 34-31. The season's done for Texas. There's no coming back from this. Bryce Carver wasn't bad, but he didn't do enough. Sal Santucci was so good early in the year. I don't know what happened with him. This Texas team, just like last year in the Kansas Dynasty, they're so infuriating. Once you think they're going to be good, they lose a bunch of games they shouldn't. That will send us to our next matchup in Arkansas. The number 1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs. They have been, I think, kind of head and shoulders ahead of everybody in college football this year. They're coming off a shutout last week, and today they won by even more. 63-14, with 6 passing touchdowns by the quarterback, Hoppy Reynolds, who had more touchdowns than he had incompletions. Rough day for Arkansas, 0-2 out of the polls. Kyle Mays continues to play well, though. As for the Dogs, they're the favorites to win the whole thing right now. If Hoppy Reynolds was 6'2", he would be the runaway number 1 pick. The problem is he's 5'11", 185. He's not built like an NFL quarterback, but he's been the best passer, I think, in the country this year. I think he should be in first place for the Heisman, or at least in the top 3. And then through the air, Sir Odiah Nobles, the redshirt freshman. This is one of the best long-term prospects in the country. He will be in the top 5 of your way too early mock drafts next year. Number 4 Michigan, number 3 USC, 7-0 versus 7-0. The only undefeated teams in the Big Ten. USC had the huge win against Notre Dame last week, and they said, want to see us do it again? This game ended up being a little bit closer, but the Trojans knock off unbeaten Michigan. What a day for USC. Coming into the episode, I expected them to lose both of these games, and boy, was I wrong. Elijah Pyle only completed around 50-ish% of his throws. Jackson Jackson was not as good today, although he wasn't too bad. It was really the Dylan Bellamy show, over 7 yards a pop and 2 scores. I'm fascinated to see how Georgia Tech performs here against SMU. Yeah, Georgia Tech is 6-1, and they did just beat us last week. But I think SMU can beat these guys by 20. I think they're head and shoulders better. Well, I'll give Georgia Tech credit. They made it a game, and they definitely didn't lose by 20. But it is SMU who holds on to the number 2 spot in the rankings. They win it 37-29. SMU looks awesome. They are the best team in the ACC right now. They're better than Miami. They're better than Clemson. They're better than anyone in this conference. It's them and Georgia at the top of these polls. These are the 2 best teams in college football right now. I give the Yellow Jackets credit, though. I didn't think this game was going to be very close, to be honest. SMU has blown out a lot of really good teams this year. Georgia Tech only lost by 1 score. Tyree Wells continues to play well. He's not an elite athlete, but I think he needs to start getting more NFL draft love. He is a redshirt junior, though. He could come back next year if he wanted. Alabama heads to the swamp to face off against Florida. The Tide with 2 losses can't really afford to lose another game. Florida with 1. They need to win this one. So this ended up being the play of the year. Kieran Riddle breaks the sack, gets out of traffic, on the run, floats it up. Moses Lexington comes back to the ball and gets it, pitches it to Trey Lawson, who runs 20 yards in a straight line to the end zone. Wow. Alabama scored 52 points last week against Mississippi State, and they scored 52 again against Florida. Big win for the Tide. Kieran Riddle was awesome. Kieran Riddle has been so good this year. He's been by far the most accurate quarterback in the country, completing 75% of his passes. That's like 4 percentage points higher than second place. So you combine the accuracy with the physical tools and the production this year. I mean, he might be the number 1 pick right now. If you're willing to look past the inconsistencies during his 3 years at Virginia Tech and the missed games he had due to injury, there might not be a quarterback prospect better than him. Mayer Stokes, the true freshman, was equally awesome for Florida, but the rest of this team let him down. Let's take a look at some scores across the rest of college football. TCU, 45-6. Those guys are good. Their quarterback, Carson Mayfield, only an 81 overall. He can play. I think he actually is in second place in completion percentage behind Kieran Riddle, ironically. Miami over Wake Forest. We will be playing against the Hurricanes next week at home. Notre Dame gets back on track, 48-3 against Navy, although Brendan Holloway, again, was not that great. USF with a nice win over Rice. Ohio State over Illinois. In the ACC, Virginia allows 100 points through their 2 games today. North Carolina is 2-6. They've been such a disappointment losing to Florida State. We play against the Tar Heels next week. And then looking at some other scores, Akron puts up 52 on Ohio. Oklahoma continues to be disappointing. They lose to Kentucky. Wyatt Cruz has just not taken the leap that I would have hoped for with the Sooners this year. The redshirt sophomore, he's not going to enter the NFL, I would think, after this year. My best guess is that he probably enters the portal. 13-10, Duke beats Cal. Very on brand for the Blue Devils. Good win for them, though. LSU starting to win some more games as they beat Mississippi State. Texas Tech over Houston. The Red Raiders still only with 1 loss this year against Georgia Tech, who I thought had a good episode. I thought we were going to beat them, and, well, they won. And then they only lost to SMU by 1 score. Now that we're in Week 10, the college football playoff rankings are out for the first time this year. They're pretty similar to what we have currently in the media poll. Interestingly, Ole Miss jumps Arizona State, which I think is fair. Arizona State's been really good, but Ole Miss with Zarius Stone, those guys look awesome. Akron is ranked in the media poll. That's pretty dope. Let's take a look at our first playoff bracket of the year. If the season were to end today, what does the college football playoff bracket appear to be? Georgia's the number 1 seed. Alabama's the last team in. San Diego State would be the group of 5 representative. What's changed about the bracket this year is that the top 4 teams are not all conference champions. So a team like Ole Miss, who's in second place in the SEC, can get a bye week. I don't feel like there's any weak links in that playoff bracket. Usually there's a few every year. Not so much this year. All those teams are legit. Of course, as we saw earlier, Nazir Ismail, the ACC Offensive Player of the Week. joined by Elijah Parson. That's a good way to respond to getting called out, I must say. Julian Hero still in first place for the Heisman. He's having a great year. I don't think he should be in first. I think Zarius Stone should be ahead of him. I think Kieran Riddle should be ahead of him. Brennan Holloway did not have a great episode, but he should probably be ahead. And then Hoppy Reynolds from Georgia as well. Let's take a look at the bowl projections. Being that we're 4-4, we're right in the middle. We would be projected to make a bowl against 7-1 Air Force in the LA Bowl. That's fun. Air Force is having a really good year. So next week we are hosting Miami, number 9, 7-1. Their only loss this year is to SMU, which is understandable. SMU is killing everyone. So we have 4 games left. I haven't exactly decided how I'm going to format things with doubleheaders or single headers because I want to have this series even back up with the Browns. I want both season 2s to start at around the same time. And given that the Browns series just started last week, obviously we're a lot further ahead here. There have also been some draft class issues I've heard. I haven't started the custom class yet. I've heard there have been some problems, which is not great. Remember last year I had to remake the entire first draft class for the Broncos series. Not trying to do that again. So because of that, I don't know exactly what uploads are going to look like for this series, but next episode hopefully will come out pretty soon, whether we get through 1 or 2 weeks. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Peace out.